Welcome back to the vlog. We're here in Sacramento, California, playing at Capital Casino. This is vlog 206. We buy in for the 1-3 game for $500. First hand we play, we're on the button with pocket fives. There are a bunch of limpers. I just limp along to set mine. Small blind, who has been very active, decides to put in a small raise, just a little pot builder. Loses a couple players, but I come along with one other player. So we're going to go three ways to this flop with $60 in the center. Flop comes out way above average when it comes 8-5-4. There are two spades on the board. My opponent is going to continuation bet for $25. This seems like a very fair price to me. I know I'm best here. The other player folds out. I take a peek at my hand, make sure I still have 3 fives. Just decide to put it in the call. I don't think he has very much. Turn card comes is the 4 hearts. Makes me a full house. I'm sure I'm best. If he bets on the larger size, I'm going to put him on an overpair. If he bets small, I'm going to put him on basically nothing. So here he bets $40 into the pot. I don't think he has very much, maybe some sort of ace high type of hands. So I'm just going to call, let him blast off if he wants to. River card comes is a pretty good one. It's ace of hearts. Now my opponent, I think, goes from bluffing to betting his hand for value. He puts in $100. I'm going to have to raise. I'm trying to think of a sizing. I have about 400 total. So I put in a call. I'll make it 390. And then I'll have another 300 behind. So I figure let's just go for the jam. He's been very active. This is my first hand I played. I don't know whether he's going to pay me off or not. But he does tank for a good 2 minutes before finally putting in the fold. A few minutes later, we pick up 8-7 suited, put in a raise to $15. End up getting 3 callers for the 15. 2 people behind me and one of the blinds. Flop comes out pretty good for my hand. It comes 8-6-4 with 1 club. So we got a gutter to a straight, top pair with a mediocre kicker, and a backdoor flush draw. First player checks. I'm going to continue for $25. Get a quick call from the player behind me, and the next player also puts in the call. The blind decided to get out of the way. Turn card comes as a 9 of diamonds. I decided to pot control here. There's a lot of, 2-pair combinations up there. I checked, player behind me checks, and the player in last position decides to bet out for $70. I'm definitely not going to be going anywhere. I still think I have a lot of equity. I do have a straight draw and a pair, of course. I put in the call. The other player folds out. So we see a river card of a 10 of hearts. My opponent only has about 120, 130 left, so I decided just to go ahead and jam. Makes my hand look a little face up, but I don't think this person is going to be betting, say, a pair of 9s or even 2 pair with this river card. There is one player that limps in. Next player raises to 16. I get a call from the player on my right. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet this thing. I make it $65. It's folded back around to the player to my right. Looks like he's interested in it, but maybe just a little bit too expensive. He eventually finds the fold, so no value with my queens other than just picking up a nice little pot. Well, the run of playable hands continues, this time with King, Jack of clubs in the hijack. We get a few limpers in front of us. Raise to 20, and we end up getting 3 callers for the 20. So we're going to go 4 ways to this flop with $81 in the center. Flop comes out ace high, but it does come with 2 clubs. It's not the ace of clubs on board, so there's a little worry that someone might have a pair and a bigger flush. All 3 opponents check to me. This is a hand I'm going to be checking back. I'm not going to be firing at this with 3 opponents. Turn card comes as a 10 of diamonds. I pick up a straight draw with my flush draw. It's checked over to the player who bets $25. Next player puts in the call. I'm getting a great price here. Going to go ahead and call. I'm pretty sure one or both of them have at least an ace. River card comes as a 5 of diamonds. We brick out. Both players ended up checking. Of course, I'm not going to go for this one. I'm sure someone's just waiting there with an ace to call down. Sure enough, someone shows over ace 7 of diamonds, so we can't make every single hand we play. But maybe we can make something with this one. We got one player that limps in. I got 2 aces, best hand in hold'em. I raise to $15. Everyone else folds, he puts in the call, and we go heads up to a flop, which comes out a little bit above average when it comes ace, king, 8, rainbow. Pretty good for me. He checks it over. I continuation bet for $15. He goes ahead and puts in the call. Turn card comes is a queen. Still pretty good card for me, unless he has a hand like Jack 10. He checks over. I put in the bet for $40. Maybe he has a hand like King Queen, wants to pay me off. He decides to put in a small raise, a min raise to $80. This to me feels like Jack 10 all the way. I'm just going to have to call, of course. Hopefully we can pair the board on the end and see what happens. Sure enough, we get the ace of spades. We make quads. My opponent jams all in. I snap call, saying I have to call. I turn over my hand rather quickly. I asked him if he had Jack 10, and he sure enough showed that he did. So we needed all that help, but we made quads and the high hand. I'm in the big blind. There's a $6 straddle. I get ace 5 suited. There were 2 players that came in, so I just go ahead and limp in, and we get to see a flop that comes out, well, pretty darn good for ace 5 of diamonds. It comes king high with 2 diamonds. So I got the nut flush draw. I check it over. It gets checked around. Okay, well, maybe nobody has much. 2 hearts comes up. I'm going to go ahead and take this tiny stab, a little pot builder bet here. See who has 2, who has a king. I bet $10. Player to my left quickly calls the $10, and then the player in the low jack raises to $30. And I'm going, okay, what does this mean? And he seems extremely comfortable, and he just really wants to build a pot. Here, I got the nut flush draw, but I'm tossing it because I think he has pocket 6s. I don't know. It just feels like pocket 6s to me, and I don't like drawing to a flush when I'm drawing dead. So I muck it. Player to my left calls. He obviously has a deuce in his hand. River card comes up as a 5 of clubs. I would have missed my flush. I would have lost an extra $20 if I called, but I kept the camera rolling because I really wanted to see this guy's hand with pocket 6s. Sure enough, he bets small. My opponent to my left, who I'm sure has a deuce, decides, well, this is a good time to raise all in. He puts his money in. The other player at the end of the table, who I feel has 6s, puts in a quick call and rolls over his pocket 6s for a full house. The player to my left shows that he had 5 deuce for a smaller full house. All right, this one's kind of weird. There is a bomb pot going on, 6-way action. Everyone's playing for $10. Don't ask me why it's 10 and not 15. I couldn't explain it. So the 6 of us see a flop, which comes out ace 9 4, all clubs. So we got bottom set, which is good, but there's all sorts of flushes possible out there. So I decided to check. Guess check to the player at the end of the table who bets for $40. Now, this either means that he has a hand like ace 9 or a flush, in my opinion. So I decided just to call. The player with a short stack goes all in for $25. I'm just going to keep it as a one big pot here just for simplicity. Turn card comes as a 6 of clubs. Yeah, I hate it right now. I check it, and the player at the end of the table checks it back. River card comes as a 9 of spades. My intention was to bet small. If I got raised, I was just going to fold. So I go ahead and bet $25. If he has ace 9, he's going to be putting in a raise, and he makes it 110, kind of a small size raise. Anyway, as I was talking to him, trying to get some sort of read, the player in the middle position kind of was picking up his hand and looking at his cards. He eventually kind of flashes that he had like a red 9. So I'm going, well, it makes ace 9 less likely. Maybe he was slow playing a flush. But my initial read was that he had ace 9. I kind of feel like I'm beat. But after taking for a very long time, I give the guy a loose call. And sure enough, he shows me that he did indeed have ace 9 offsuit. So last hand I saved $20. This one I just punted off an extra $85. I knew he had it. What am I doing? Just let that thing go. Probably the biggest action player in Sacramento just sat down at our table. He's been playing like the last 10, 12 hands, complaining about no one's giving him any action. So I decided that as soon as I had a playable hand that I was going to just put in the chips, give him whatever he wants, probably be flipping with him. Here, he has a $10 straddle. Everyone folds. I call from the small blind for the $10. The big blind also puts in for the call. And when it gets back to him, he decides to raise to $60. And this is where I'm going to spring my trap. King Queen is good enough for me against this player. He's been playing just about every hand. So I decided just to jam on him. Probably get him to fold some weaker hands, but he snap calls. I mean, so fast that the other player didn't even have a chance to act. He asked if I want to run it twice. I tell him I only go once. So he goes, that's fine. And he shows that he has an ace high. He had ace 4 of clubs. Of course, the flop comes with an ace in it. And I'm thinking, what did I just punt $500 to this gentleman? Well, it's because he gives tons of action. And so I was willing to gamble with him. I was running hot all day and figured, well, let's see how hot I really am. Apparently not as hot as he is, because I see $500 going his way, and that's not really playing poker, that's just gambling. Well, of course, a few hands after this, he decided to move over to a different table, so there goes all the action, and now I'm down a little bit. But that's okay. I'm going to fight back by playing good poker. Player opens for $10. New player to me, but he seems to be playing fairly solid and tight. Player to my right puts in the call. I got ace-king in the hijack. I'm going to raise to $50. Put some pressure on them. He decides that he's going to put in a small raise to $100. He only has $320 left in his stack. Definitely could just go with this hand, blindly shove all in. Hope for the best, but since I had position, I figure, okay, I put in a 3-bet, he puts in a 4-bet. I'm just going to call and see a flop and adjust from there. So I put in the call. We're heads up to a flop with 214 in. Flop comes out really good. Comes king high. Kind of wishing that I just shoved now, but he ends up betting $40. This weak bet usually indicates that he has a middling pair like queens or jacks. I'm just going to put in a call. Hopefully he continues. He only has about 140 left. Ace of clubs is not a good card. It's a very scary card for someone with a hand like that. So when he checks to me, I said I'm just going to go ahead and bet for $70. Get about half his chips in if he wants to continue. As I said, I just punted off $500, so they can probably think that maybe I'm making some sort of move. River card comes as a 9 of clubs, puts up a potential flush. He shoves all in. I snap call. He shows jacks. I take it down with ace-king. So I got a little bit of the money back. The player to my right has been playing a very short stack, and his favorite move is just to go all in with any kind of playable hand. So for the last, round or two, he's been doing this quite frequently. I've just been sitting and waiting patiently, hoping to pick up something that I can call him with. Here, in the hijack with pocket jacks, he goes all in for $68. Of course, I snap call, and we get to see a run out with when he shows the queen 9 of spades. That comes 10 high with no additional help. I take down this small pot. It's a little bit of a punt back in my direction. That happened to be the last hand of the day, but I got a little bonus hand for your enjoyment. This was the following day. I didn't have my favorite seat. I was kind of in the middle of the table, so excuse the camera angle. The player in seat 1 limps in, and the next player puts in a raise to 15. I got 8-6 of clubs. Not something I normally play, but it's I think with the stack sizes, it's definitely worth playing. So I put in the call, and so does a couple other players. So we go 5 ways to a flop with 76 in. That comes out glorious. King 9-7 with 2 clubs. So I have an open-ender, a flush draw, and I have the first 3 players check to me. I'm going to go ahead and bet 2/3 pot here, hoping to either take it down or to build something that I can get either a free card if I need it, or just make my hand and fire away. I end up getting 1 caller from the player in seat 1. The initial raiser tanks for a long time and finally decides on putting in a fold. He later told me that he had pocket jacks. After he folds, the 2 of us are going to see a turn card, which comes a jack of hearts. Player checks again. Here I can choose to either check this back or to go ahead and fire. I think I should be betting a larger size. I bet $85. I think I should go a little bit bigger, probably 2/3 pot here, and that way get him committed for the rest of his chips on the end. Looks like he has some sort of kind of king in his hand. Maybe he picked up some sort of straight draw, say maybe like King 10, King 8, King Queen perhaps. He does decide to put in the call, and the 2 of us are going to go see a river card now with $346 in the pot, and it comes to deuce of clubs. He checks again, and now for my sizing, I probably should just go ahead and shove here. If he has something that he's this sticky with, he might go ahead and call it off. But I was pretty sure he had only a 1-pair type hand, so I decided to bet 160, which I think is a mistake. I think I should go ahead and just shove all in, because if I was going to be bluffing, I would probably bluff with an all in. And since I have my hand made, I should be betting all in, right? They should be the same. Eventually, after tanking for probably 2 to 3 minutes, he does decide to put in the call and showed that he did have a king in his hand. So we get good results with winning the pot and winning at 160, but I really think I messed up by not jamming on the river. I think that's the correct play, whether you have a bluff or made hand. That concludes the vlog for this week. We ended up winning $585 on that day, and that's even including our $500 punt and the extra $85 we paid off with a bad call with pocket 4s. Played fairly well, ran pretty good. I mean, whenever you make quads when someone has a straight, it's always a good thing. So can't complain there. Really do appreciate all your support, and thanks for tuning in. We're creeping closer to that 10K mark of subscribers, so hopefully we can get there soon. As for next week's vlog, I may have to take that one off. I am going to be traveling to Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to be touring the Clean Spark bit mining facility there in Norcross, which is just outside of Atlanta. Going to be taking the tour with the CEO and chairman and some of their bigwigs, and seeing the facilities firsthand, checking out their operation. I do have a substantial investment in the company, so I'm really interested in seeing things on the ground. I'll let you know how it looks, and until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.